Welcome back to a podcast about movies here on the Movie Hero Network. I am joined, as always, by my great co-host Austin Pez Howell. Austin, how's it going?
Oh, I'm just above average, but I appreciate it. I do my best. No, man, always a pleasure to be on to talk with movies with you, sir. I look forward to it every couple weeks we do it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, we a little late on this one, but life happens. I work with kids. I get sick a lot,
And vacation happens.
and
So you know
vacation.
what?
So
You know what? Sometimes you gotta not do shows for like a week when you see my Google Calendar how it gets filled up every week. Sometimes I just gotta take a break from that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, for instance, tonight this will be my second of three things I'll be doing in front of my computer tonight. So it's a whole
yeah.
night of activity.
I'm I'm there with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
if I'm not doing a show, I'm doing something comedy related, and if I'm not doing
yeah.
something comedy related, I'm doing something church related, and then
Mhm.
it's something every night.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, but I enjoy it and I have a good time with it, and that's what matters.
Hmm.
So yeah, like you said, we're talking movies, but not just any movies. We are continuing with our anniversary series, celebrating some 1979 movies. So once again, we've got a four pack of movies here.
Hmm.
Not like a four pack that you would find at Walmart, because I doubt these four would ever get sold together.
No, these are four. Although we could speculate like what each movie could be paired with, in a four pack. What
Yeah,
other similar movies?
one of
Uh,
them's fairly easy to put into
yeah,
a four
yeah,
pack.
yeah. We could talk about that. We could
A
speculate
little
like
bit.
what the Walmart four pack would be on some of these movies if they were paired with other thing.
Hmm,
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, ooh, that especially for one of these movies at least.
yeah.
What would the other three in that pack be?
I
That's
don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll
yeah,
guess when we get there
yeah,
if they did.
but yeah, no. I know you just got off of a Ghostbusters rewatch, so I know that yeah, we'll try to not spend too much time, so you can at least have a little break before you have to get
Right.
down in front of your computer again. So
Yes.
uh, I know sometimes we banter before, but let's just jump into it this time.
Sure. Sure. No worries.
So yeah, the first movie. This was a total blind spot. I didn't even know this movie existed until you had mentioned it, and then you
Yes.
said who was involved, and I was like, yes, I that absolutely sounds like my kind of movie, uh,
Uh-huh.
and that is Rock and Roll High School,
Yes.
featuring music from the Ramones, other good music around that time too, but
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah.
featuring the Ramones. Yeah, I had no idea this movie even existed or was a thing, but I absolutely loved it.
Oh, that's
The
awesome. Good to hear.
yeah, it's really fun. It's on Tubi. It's also on Peacock. So if you don't want to watch it,
Yeah, I watched it on Peacock, and that was
that's
that was cool because I remember it being on Tubi for a while. But yeah, it's this is one that I know real quick. I'll go back to. I promise. I was just gonna say like I saw like half of this movie at like a convention. They were showing it. It was like a cult convention, cult movie convention, and this is definitely like a cult movie. That has like one of those followings. What's funny is that even Siskel and Ebert. I went back and looked up their review on YouTube. Siskel at the time said, even in his review, I could see this movie becoming like a cult movie because he gave
mm,
it a thumbs up. Roger gave it like kind of a marginal thumbs up. But he was like, this movie is definitely going to have a following at some point just because the way it's structured, the Ramones connection, just the vibe of it and whatnot. Yeah, I'd seen like half of it and I remembered liking it. So I wanted to revisit it and go full on. But no, go ahead. Yeah, this is your flat out first time seeing it.
yeah, it was, and it's always funny like seeing these high school movies because no high school is ever like this.
Of course.
Like this, and you get your Ferris Bueller's Day, like Days and Confused. Like high school's not actually like that. Like sure, there's like some hazing and bullying and whatnot. Yeah, that's accurate, but
Yeah.
no band is ever going to come take over your high school. So I
It's a
just
total fantasy. But you know what this movie is, Jacob, that I realized like halfway through watching it? Because this movie has like weird like parody elements and stuff too in it, like wacky stuff going on, that wouldn't go on anywhere. And we'll talk about it. But this movie felt like Bottoms. Did you see Bottoms
I
last year?
haven't seen Bottoms yet. No.
Okay, this movie feels like Bottoms from like 1979, where it's
Okay.
like kind of a weird, almost parody movie with like the wacky stuff going on and people playing it straight. Because we'll talk about it, but like Clint Howard's part in this, how he's just like the guy who can get things done in the high school or whatever, but he has a office in the bathroom. You open up like a secret door, like the stall door, and he has like a fully furnished office with all this stuff, and he's got little compartments everywhere and files and all this stuff. There's a line to get into his office to get things done. There's just like weird things going on with like the rats in the movie, responding to the music. Just like weird comedic stuff that I had completely forgotten about this movie, which is why it made it so fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect way to describe this movie. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I'm wondering if, because obviously Matilda was based off a book, but I totally got like Miss Trunchbull vibes from the principal in this movie.
Yes,
I'm like, was the
Principal Togar?
Yeah, was there a little inspiration in the performance from this movie? Because I could totally see it, or maybe it's just a coincidence that all high school or mean-spirited principals or headmasters or whatever you want to call them just act like that. But yeah,
it's like this. It's like Paul Gleason in The Breakfast Club, is like the hard ass like principal. Like all these movies had like hard ass like administrators or principals or somebody trying to like hammer down on all the fun, and make everybody get back to work and squash everything.
Yeah, but I think can't remember who played. I don't, other than Clint Howard. Like I'm not going to remember names other than the Ramones.
Right.
Whoever played her, I think
her name is Mary Warrenoff or something like that. Yeah, and
I think she's fantastic.
No, she's great, and she damn near steals the movie. Because like you don't like her, but at the same time, like she's giving such a good performance that you kind of admire it because she's
right.
But she strikes the right balance of like being funny in certain scenes, like the music, like rats experiment scenes, without breaking like character. She's cranking up the music, and it's like the Who and the Rolling Stones, and blah, blah, blah. The top part is the Ramones, and the rat like explodes or the mouse explodes. And she's like, but she's playing it straight of just like, you see what this music does to these animals? It's just ridiculous. Like it's really, really funny. Yeah, and this movie gets wacky at times, but was all the stuff I'd forgotten about. I remembered all the stuff at the end where like the Ramones played their little concert, almost like a mini concert, an hour into the movie, where they basically go to a Ramones concert. You get to hear 3 or 4 songs, which doesn't take long because all their songs are 2 minutes long.
Right.
So, if you go even just put them up on Spotify, all their songs are like an hour or not an hour, minute 59 seconds, 2 minutes and 13 seconds, whatever. And then they come into the school and start playing in the hallways, and they're taking over everything and protesting and whatnot. But yeah, it's one of those unique movies where the whole soundtrack is just one band. It's like Maximum Overdrive with AC/DC doing all the music. It's one of those fun things. But I had a feeling you might like it because you like music movies, so
yeah,
with cool soundtracks and music elements to it and all that. People doing musical numbers, like the one in the gym where they're singing the Rock and Roll High School song, like when she writes it and they kind of perform it in the gym class.
Yeah, that was a fun sequence. I liked the sort of the side plot between Tom and Kate, where Tom wants to go be with Riff, and she wants to be with Tom, and it's a thing. And spoilers, they end up getting together. So I mean, it worked out for both of them.
She's the classic female nerd where she takes off the glasses, and that's when she gets really hot. Like even back in 1979, that was like a trope back in the day. The nerd who's not really like nerdy. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, take the glasses off. You're hot. Put the glasses on. You're a newspaper reporter.
Yes,
glasses are a good disguise. Which apparently. I had a friend tell me apparently it works because he he was at work with somebody and they were wearing glasses and he didn't like notice it first, and then the guy took the glasses off and he was like, "Oh, hey, when did you get here? So apparently, for
I
some people,
told
glasses work.
you guys. I think I told you guys on Facebook and so on some of the shows. So I dressed up as I did my Ernest outfit, which did not go over at my work because all the kids that work in my
Right.
grocery store, 17 years old, and they don't know who Ernest is. But I was not wearing my glasses. I was wearing my contacts that day, and I swear to God, I had at least 4 people go, I didn't even notice you were here. like I was walking around without my glasses on, and they did not notice. So you know what? There might be some legitimacy to this Superman glasses thing. I don't know. The more I experiment with it, it might actually be a thing. Maybe.
Yeah, but back to this movie. Yeah, I think this movie is a blast. There's not a whole lot going on plot wise. I mean, it's just a fun high school movie.
No, Riff, PJ Souls from Halloween. We should say she's the girl, the totally girl in Halloween. Totally. I met her at a convention. She's very cool.
Nice.
She mostly was like her table was mostly like Halloween and Rock and Roll High School, so it was like two separate things. But she's very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's her. She's obsessed with the Ramones. She wants to go to the concert. She's always playing the music on the PA. This principal doesn't like rock and roll, and they have to, use the power of rock and roll to overcome her. That's basically the whole plot.
And it works. It's a fantastic movie. I think it was the most fun I had out of these 4 that we're talking about. I mean, that makes sense with 2 of these. But
right.
Yeah, I had a blast watching this. It's funny. I was started to watch it, and then I had to leave something to come up, and I was like, oh, I'll finish it when I get home. And then I ended up just starting it from the beginning because I was I was enjoying that. I'm just gonna watch it in its entirety because I was having a good time with it. I was looking it up too. PJ Souls, like you had mentioned, was 29 when this movie came out, and the principal is only 7 years older.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I was gonna look up and see how old Clint Howard was. I think he might have been he was only 20 in this, but of course he's got that. He's half bald already, and he already kind of looks, like he's in his 30s, even though he's only 20. Right. He's one of those guys that has those looks. But yeah, no, it's a classic situation. It's like how Sean Connery was only 10 years older than Harrison Ford when he played his dad in Last Crusade. It's really not that much of a difference, but you play it up a little bit. But yeah, PJ was, she plays a high schooler both in this and in Halloween, and she's already almost 30.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then you get to the 80s and people just look a lot older than they actually are.
Yeah.
What was it? It was Art Anderson was 35 or something, and then he looks the same now, and he's it was
just those guys that are born 50,
right?
They just have that look, and they just never get rid of it, no matter how far you go back. Even when they're a teenager, they look 50.
And then you get people like R-Truth and Keanu Reeves who look the same as they did 20 years ago.
Paul Rudd, who hasn't aged since Clueless, since he was playing a high schooler.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same. He could play a college student now, and I'd believe it. Oh yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I guess technically anyone can be a college student.
Yeah.
There's no age limit to college. So
I'd buy him as a grad student or something. Yeah, sure.
But no, this movie was fantastic. I can't thank you enough for recommending.
Hey, no, I'm glad you liked it, because the worst thing is you're like, hey, let's do a movie I think you'll like. No, I'm glad you liked it, because we're doing. We'll talk about it later at the end of the show. But we're doing another music type movie, but it's a music action movie, and I hope that goes over well. We'll talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Because we're doing a fun one that I think you'll dig as well. I hope you will. Because
given who's involved, I'm going into it.
Yes. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, what we're doing next week. But yeah, another music related movie. So I hope it's fun.
Yeah, but I was thinking about this before the show. It's kind of funny how this and our 74 show are very similar, because we've got two comedies, and then kind of a sci-fi horror, and then just a really good drama.
Yeah.
So our second comedy, we're going with The Jerk.
The Jerk.
Which was another first time watch for me. I know that you I know that you recommended this one again. So what is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
about the jerk for
No,
you that?
I just think it's like one of those quintessential like Steve Martin performances. I think he's just so like bubbly and bouncy in here. It's kind of the, he came from stand up. He did a lot of stand up in the '70s. And you see him, he would make appearances on SNL in the '70s, kind of doing a stand up act. Just kind of being that like wacky crazy guy before he started doing some dramas and some more kind of straightforward comedies. But this one's like very physical. It's him being very naive and silly. I like these movies where it's somebody that knows nothing about the real world and they're kind of thrown into the real world and they're just this complete like fish out of water, kind of like a blast from the past situation, something like that. But I mean, even the premise is absurd. He like grows up with this black family and says he's a young poor black child. He grew up a poor black child like in the South, the deep South, and he's just completely like naive to everything. And then he goes off to have his own little adventure. And it's not like a road trip movie or anything, even though it kind of feels like a road trip movie, even though it's
Yeah,
really not. But it's because it's him like bouncing from different kind of situation to situation. But I just like following, seeing the world through his sort of this like innocent perspective, and then getting all warped and everything, how he stumbles into success and he stumbles into a girlfriend and he just blatantly says whatever's on his mind and he just doesn't care or doesn't know any better. And yeah, just seeing this journey from being like poor to rich to poor again, all within 90 minutes. And again, it's just one of those perfect little comedies. It's like a 90-minute comedy. You're in and out. It doesn't overstay its welcome. There's fun little side characters and little adventures. And I just think there's great little set pieces. And I just think it's a goofy, silly time, like it's nothing too heavy, it doesn't get into heavy themes or anything, and just a lot of good gags. So I don't know, what did you think? Because you hadn't seen this before. I mean, are you like a Steve Martin fan or like casual fan, anything like that?
I'd say I'm
Yeah.
a casual fan. I think he's a good actor, and I think he's pretty funny. I think if he was not the one, starring alongside Queen Latifah in Bringing Down the House, I don't know if that movie works as well as it does for me personally.
No. If it was my stream, I'd play
He's
I'd
trying.
play the clip where it's like that one didn't age so well.
No, but I can go back and watch and appreciate his performance because I think he's
It's of his time. No, he's funny in it. Yeah.
he at least tries. I think in everything that he does, and yeah, he's really funny, and I love his line delivery in this movie, especially because like he doesn't know anything. Like there's several moments where it's like you could just like he's not an idiot, but he's acting like an idiot because he just doesn't know anything about the real world.
He's oblivious.
He's oblivious.
It's like the perfect word for it. His character is just oblivious to everything. Yeah, he's like the Emmett Walsh stuff when he's like shooting at him, at the station.
Random.
Somebody hates cans. This man hates the cans. Oh my God, more cans. He's running.
Oh, there's cans over there.
The cans over here. Oh my God, he's shooting at the cans. Like, he just doesn't understand it. By the way, rest in peace, Emmett Walsh. He just passed away. The guy who plays like the sniper guy in this movie, which I remembered he was in, and I was like, oh, that's perfect because he just passed away like a few weeks ago. Character actor has been in a million things. But yeah, like his naivete and like, dealing with the guys like who, are using the stolen credit cards and everything. And, the interactions with the kid, like, yeah, just these ridiculous lines and the situations. I just think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the guys who stole the car. How powerful is their car that they're tearing a church in half?
Yeah, that's something, right?
That's some power in that car. Yeah, Steve Martin is hilarious. I wasn't sure what to expect when the movie first started because all of a sudden he's just like singing this song with his black family on the porch, clapping and stomping his feet. I'm like, all right, where's this movie going? And like you said, it's kind of a road trip, but not really a road trip, but just more of a journey. And he's, it almost feels like it could be like an SNL movie, and this would be a character that he played.
Oh yeah,
on
100%.
SNL.
Yeah.
And we're just like going from moment to moment. Like these could almost be sketches. I could almost see these being sketches.
No, it's the gas station sketch. It's like the circus sketch. It's the inventor rich sketch, with him like, tooling around this mansion, just buying ridiculous things. And no, I mean, the bit where he gets to the mansion and he's just like, it's everything I always wanted, the this and the that room, the this and the this room. It's the most, it keeps going. And because it gets to that point with comedy where like it goes and then it's not as funny, but then it keeps going, so it gets funny again. And he's like, and the the dartboard and the whatever room and the stuffed tiger with the carpet, like, he's just naming all the stuff. It's the most ridiculous shit you've ever seen. It's really funny. Yeah, like that caught me off guard. I forgot about stuff like that. That really made me laugh.
Yeah. I really like this one too. I thought this is a good comedy, and it's one that I think I'll go back and revisit because I think there's a lot of good moments. Like you said, the physical stuff is really good. I mean, when he called it his special purpose, I just thought of the special purpose. That was funny. And then he like
the bit where he's leaving the mansion, like where he loses all his money, and he's like, I don't need anybody or anything except for this chair, just me and you and this chair and this pen right here, and this ashtray, and he keeps picking up stuff in this plant, and he keeps picking up stuff on the way out. And I don't need nothing except this chair and this ashtray and this pen and this magazine. And he keeps picking up more stuff. Like it just keeps going. That's something that kind of only Steve Martin can kind of pull off, just with that delivery and just keeping it going. No, that's funny. Like the bit with the chick he ends up dating, and she's got the kid, and like. She's like, can you help me find my kid? He's wandering around. He's just got a shirt that says bullshit on it. That's just such a dead. She just plays it so straight. Oh, shirt with bullshit on. Okay. I mean, it's so goofy and silly and just doesn't take itself seriously, like at all. It's he's writing out checks for like 20 cents a piece, to the order of blah 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 blah. $1.09. No, only 10 million more to go. It's great.
Yeah. The Optigrab
that
doesn't. Yeah, and then and Carl Reiner,
the director of the movie, shows up playing himself. Yeah.
So, and then that starts the downfall, and it's weird. Like I wanted to go back and do like an inflation thing, and like, all right, so if this movie was made today, how much money would he actually be sending back to his family? Is he sending like $2 and then he's sending like 49 cents? And I'm like, what is that? What does that equal to today? Because he's at the gas station, but he's working for like what, $1.10
an hour or something. Yeah, which even now would be like $5 an hour. Maybe he'd be making like minimum wage, complete and utter minimum wage. Yeah.
So I'm also wondering like how much of this was just him improvising, because like he wrote. I looked up. He wrote the screenplay, and this is story. So it's like how much of it was improv, like when he's laying in bed with what's her name, and he's just and the first day felt like 4 days, and the second day felt like I would not have been able to lay there and just keep a straight face.
I think that's such a Steve Martin thing. Like he was able to improvise all that. Like I swear, I think the stuff I just talked about where he keeps picking up the items was probably just him improvising, and this thing, like whatever props were just kind of laying around, just anything he could pick up and hold. They were just like, just play around with it, like see what works. And I'm sure it was exactly like that for the bed thing too. Just keep going.
And then it just ends up carrying it for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
This is my stuff. This is my chair. Well, my ashtray.
That's the cover. That's the cover of the thing. Him with and he just keeps shuffling with his pants around his ankles, which is funny. Like he never pulls them up. He just keeps kind of doing his little pants shuffle. Yeah, it's great. Like he's so funny. Like he's had his hits and misses in his career. I think this is definitely one of his hits. I would also recommend a movie called Dirty Rotten Scoundrels with him and Michael Caine. If you haven't seen it, it's they both play like con artists, like scam artists, and Michael Caine's like the sophisticated scam artist, and Steve Martin's like the street level scam artist, and he wants to like learn from Michael Caine, but then they're each trying to scam each other out of each other's money and schemes and stuff, and
Mm,
they're just kind of it escalates, back and forth. It's really, really fun. Like, I think you'd really dig that movie too. I
yeah,
think that one's on streaming somewhere. I watched it
I'm
pretty
sure.
recently. It's very fun.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll get that. Yeah, another. I go back and forth between which one I liked more between this and Rock and Roll High School because
Yeah,
they're so different, but they're just both so funny and
yeah,
so
they're fun.
wacky and silly. And I I love it. Like I know I did that. I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I did that tier ranker. We did the comedy tier ranker. Like
Mm,
it had to have been like at least a year and a half, maybe even 2 years at this point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm pretty sure this was brought up, and I hadn't seen it.
Mhm.
Um, but like if I could go back, it's probably like a high A, low S. Like it would be.
I think
It
we
would be
had it in the S tier, at least in the top 10, I think, because we tried to get that. I know Young Frankenstein was up there, Blazing Saddles. I think I tried to get Animal House in there. I think it ended up in the A tier. It's
mm,
just one of my favorites. But yeah, I know we brought up The Jerk, and I had watched it for that because I hadn't seen it in forever. So it's really like kind of my third time watching it in like, 2 or 3 years.
mm,
But yeah, it's a fun, just casual, like goofy, silly watch.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
and
I
it's
dug it.
only 90 minutes, like comedy
Oh
should.
man, I told you, man. Comedies, I mean, both Rock and Roll High School is like 92 minutes. You know what I mean? They get in, they get out. We're not screwing around. Like I don't know, man. It's like a lost art. Just make a 90-minute comedy. That's what
Yeah,
comedy should be, man. You get in, you get the laughs, you leave, and you're good, and you just have a good time. Move on with your day. On to
yeah.
two movies that aren't 90 minutes.
No, not 90 minutes. But one of them, I feel like it's the perfect length because it's we got some sci-fi horror going on here,
Yeah.
with Alien and yeah, I know. Um, and it's we're just under 2 hours with this one.
Yeah,
But I feel like we don't really get to the horror in the
for
movie
a
until
while.
about an hour in. So that first hour,
Yeah.
it's all set up. We're getting to learn these characters, which I just realized this is a very Sigourney Weaver heavy day for you.
Oh yeah.
Because you
No,
just
because I
watched,
just
just
did
watched
a
Ghostbusters.
commentary for Ghostbusters. Yeah.
And
No, definitely.
now Alien, where she's playing the iconic Ellen Ripley, who might be one of the just best
Oh, best.
movie characters of all time. Not female characters.
No, I don't
Movie
even
characters.
say female. I've made the contention even on other shows, so there's proof of this. I think she's the greatest action hero ever. Period.
Yeah,
I
there's an
have said
argument to be
that
made, for
multiple
sure.
times. I think she's in that conversation. I would say the same thing about Sarah Connor. You know what I mean? Not just female. I
Mhm.
think she's one of the great heroes.
Oh,
Period.
for sure.
And it's funny how much they parallel of them both being like, finding their sort of bravery and courage, both Sarah Connor and Ripley, between like Terminator and T2, Alien and Aliens,
Mhm.
they have their badass moments at the end, but then like in the sequel, they take it full throttle, and do their thing. But it's fun watching the journey. Yeah. And here, yeah, because she really, if you watch this movie for the first time and you did not know, like if Sigourney Weaver, or you just didn't know anything about the movie, right? You would think that Tom Skerritt is the lead
Yeah,
because Dallas is the like handsome, square jaw, leading man. It's like 1979. He's like the handsome dude. He's the captain. You know what I mean? You go like, oh, he's gonna be like our hero. Like a lot of action movies. Here's our male lead action, and really Sigourney Weaver is kind of just a side character for the first half of the movie.
hmm
She's chiming in. She's a prominent character. Don't get me wrong, but like she speaks up, but she's the smart one, and she's the kind of the voice of the audience. She's the one who, when they're trying to bring back John Hurt, and she's like, no, quarantine this dude. He's got a
yeah.
thing on his face. Like, can we not bring that
He
on the
can't do
ship?
that.
Yeah, can we not bring him in the ship, please? Like, we don't know what this thing is. We don't have the proper protocol. Like, she's the one who's like, we need to do this, that, she's the one trying to like be the sort of the voice of reason. And like Tom Skerritt, it's not like he's dumb, like he's listening, but he's trying to balance, both Ash's like point of view and her point of view, like trying to come to a compromise.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then when they make the shift, again, if you hadn't seen it, and Tom Skerritt gets aced in the tunnel in like the air shaft, and you go like, wait, what just happened? What happened to our
Right?
hero? You're like, what?
Uh,
Wait, did he just get taken out of this movie? Like, what's going on? And then it shifts to Ripley, and you're like, oh, she's the main character. Like, that's awesome. They do it so seamlessly. It's pretty great.
yeah. Yeah, and I love when movies make you guess like that,
Hmm.
and just bring these twists in. Because yeah, this yeah, she's the
Yeah,
character who is mainly in front of a screen or behind the screen and doing,
yeah.
you know,
Talking to mother.
talking to mother on the radio or the microphone or whatever, while everyone else is out.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, you don't really think that she's gonna end up being this badass character like you said.
Yeah,
Um, but she really, especially in the later half of this movie, really leans into that. And yeah, I applaud this movie. Your last three uh, members alive are two women and a black guy.
yeah. Well,
Props to you, Ridley
you
Scott.
might think even that Yaphet Kotto might take over as the main character because he's one of the more recognizable guys. Because if you think about it, Jacob, just 6 years earlier, he played the Bond villain in Live and Let Die. He played Mr.
Oh, okay.
Big. He was a known guy. He was a Bond villain. I mean, he's a known dude, and even most of the cast in here were like character actors or people you recognize. Like Harry Dean Stanton, John
Mhm.
Hurt, Veronica Cartwright. Like all these are like were like at the time. Veronica Cartwright, she's in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the movie I love.
Mhm.
She's
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's girl in that movie. But yeah, like all these like recognizable people. And yeah, you kind of play this guessing game once Tom Skerritt gets taken out. Okay, like who's taking is Yaphet Kotto going to be our big like manly hero and take out this alien? Like, no, it's going to be Ripley, and the smart one. It's brains over brawn. A little bit kind of near
Yeah.
the end, and she's the one who comes up with a plan to like isolate the thing and blow up the ship. And now, I mean, I do always cringe when she's like, I got to go back for Jones. It's like do
Uh,
you? But all right, I guess. But do you? Do you? I don't know.
you really have to save your cat.
Yeah, do you got to say Jonesy? I guess, but come on, you only got like 5 minutes left. What are you doing? Get
Right?
off the ship.
But I guess I can applaud and respect that, but at the same time, like,
Yeah,
say,
priorities, Ripley. Come
oh,
on,
yeah,
priorities. Get off the damn ship.
yeah. It's not like Ash, where all other priorities were rescinded.
Yes,
Uh,
and the crew is expendable.
yes,
Expendable assets. Yeah,
and that's I want to jump into that. Like the
yeah.
effects in this movie are awesome. Like they're
Mhm.
really good. The alien coming out of the body, and then
Mhm.
yeah, him like the girling and when they you know beat him to where his head's coming off, like
Oh
the,
yeah.
the, the look of the alien. I think there's just so many good things about this movie, like effects wise, and back in 1979, like this movie looked damn good. Like it
No,
was
and,
it was
and and
really
yeah, a lot of that is like the set design is unique, for the ship, the way how kind of mechanical and wiry it is, and all the metal, and that's a H.R. Giger thing, the guy who kind of did the production design, the one who
good.
designed the Xenomorph, and that's what's cool about the Xenomorph is, he blends in with like the walls, like when he's in the actual ship with her at the end, and he's just kind of blended in, to the pipes and everything, and all that stuff. So it's hard to tell like where he is at any given time. It's the same thing in the sequel when they're all like in that hive, just kind of into the walls and they come out of the walls. It's one of the cool little kind of features of it. And yeah, how much like you can understand why Ash admires them as a survivor species, the ultimate survivor, and all that. And you could kind of see where he's coming from as far as like wanting to research it. But yeah, that's when it takes a turn, when his programming takes over and it's screw everybody else, just save this alien. That's where it takes the turn.
I just want to know, like, they're all eating together, and if he's an
Yeah.
android, like, where does his food go?
Uh,
That's always a question that's in the back of my mind. Where, if an android is eating food, where
I
does
think
it go?
maybe he like opens up something in his tummy
It's
and like
gotta be,
drains it
yeah,
out, just like
gotta be
drains it out.
something. Like,
I don't know because even RoboCop eats like that paste that looks like baby food.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Like Data on Star Trek Next Generation could eat, but like he's like it doesn't really do anything. Like he could eat and drink, like if he wanted to blend in, but maybe he has like a vacuum he can like suck it out of. I don't know. There's got to be something,
Yeah,
right?
there's gotta be something. I was like thinking about that. It's like just one of the odd things that goes through my mind sometimes when I'm watching movies. Is
But
like,
isn't
where
it a
could they
thing, if I'm
go?
remembering right, that they don't know he's an android in the
No,
movie?
yeah, because they don't know until they catch him like with the magazine or whatever.
Oh
And
my god,
basically-
dude, that's the most horrifying thing. I always, when I go back and watch this, the way Sigourney, her acting in that scene when he's like trying to stuff the magazine like down her throat, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
And just like trying to suffocate her. And yeah, until they knock his head off and see all the wires spitting everywhere and the goo, the white milky goo,
Yeah,
and all that stuff. It's gross.
yeah,
It's
and then
disgusting.
later on when the guys just flamethrower and just burns
Yeah.
him, it just comes off like it's
Great stuff.
some really good stuff. So this is one of those first movie sequels where people are either original or sequel. Like it's this
Yeah.
you go T2, Terminator T2, Godfather 2,
Yeah.
and you're more in the camp of Aliens. That is your
Yeah, that's my thing, and I
favorite
can't
movie.
even really explain it because my logic is completely backwards, as I've told you, between like, oh, it's like Terminator T2. I prefer the horror elements of like, the original Terminator, and then this one's more of a horror movie, but I prefer the action movie of Aliens. Like, I can't
Right.
explain it. I just, to me, it's like just little things that get me about each one. I just find Aliens more rewatchable, like easily rewatchable. Alien, I have to be in like the right mood for, because when I watch it, I want to like turn the lights down and like turn the sound up and like crank it on. Like I want to do that. I can just put on Aliens and watch Aliens. Like I can just
Right.
like crank it up. Like Alien, I just have to be in that right mood for it, I guess. So I don't know what it is, but don't get me wrong. Like it's no slight against Alien. Like
No.
Alien's a masterpiece of horror. It's great, and I've seen it in a theater. It still plays in a theater. It's great. Yeah, I mean, it's still an amazing, amazing movie. I'm not taking anything away from that. I've just seen Aliens like 200 more times than I've seen Alien, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah, and I think too, like some people, like I love getting to know characters and everything. Like I think the first hour of this movie is great, but I think with Aliens, it's more, the action is more prominent and upfront, and there's less, I guess, having to get to know characters because we already know Ripley, and we get to see her kind of lean into her.
But I also just
her
kind of
badassery.
connect to the Marines a little bit more, like those characters. Like this, like I like these characters. Don't get me wrong. I like Yaphet Kotto. I like Tom Skerritt.
Yeah.
I like Harry Dean Stanton. Like they make a fun crew, and again, it helps that they're all recognizable, like character actors, like people if you've seen a lot of movies, like everybody. And it, I relate to the fact that they're like just truckers. They're space truckers, and like one of their first questions was like when they get the distress signal or whatever, is they're like, "We're gonna get like a bonus out of this. We're gonna get money." It's like it's a total trucker thing of like, are we gonna get like a side pay gig out of this? We're gonna get a cut of like veering off from our main, pay mission that they're on, that they're heading back home
Wanna
from.
go home.
Yeah, I want to go home and get paid, like, but hey, if there's an extra bonus in it, okay, we'll go down and check this thing out. Yeah, but I mean that's such a relatable thing of like, yeah, we're gonna get hazard pay out of this.
Right. Or we get overtime pay.
Yeah, we're gonna get some overtime for staying on, out in space another week or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll work for you. The compensation is there.
Exactly. That would be my first question.
Yeah.
Can't blame
I love Alien. I am an Alien over, like I prefer Alien over Aliens. But yeah, no. I'm sure in 2 years we can do Aliens and revisit the because
that's a whole show. We got to do a whole hour on that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Who knows? I'm sure it'll get spun for
oh yeah, if it ever pops up on Wheel of Movies, yeah, that's one we want to guess.
Yeah. So who's perfect for this? Well, we've already got the host.
Well, the host, it's his favorite movie, so I guess that's a given. Yeah, and it's on 5 other people's lists, so
Right.
pick and choose.
I think it was just outside my list.
Yeah.
But again, no slight against the movie. I think the movie's fantastic.
No, and if somebody, if any of those people, it's the same thing. Yeah, Aliens, Godfather 1 and 2, T1, T2. Like, if anybody says one over the other, and again, just because of like little things, like I totally get it. Like, if somebody's
Right.
like, I just love Alien, like it's a great, like, cool, I get it. It's just I just rewatch the other one more, but it doesn't mean that every time I put this on, I don't enjoy it. Like, it's a
Exactly.
great movie.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got one more movie to dive into.
Hmm.
Um, pretty heavy one here. It's Apocalypse Now.
Look at that poster. Look at that art. That's amazing.
Such
Look
a
at that.
poster.
This set, by the way, I've seen it for like $15 on Amazon. If
Oh
you
wow.
don't have it, I don't know what you're doing. Like, because it's the 4K set, but it has 6 discs in the set
Ooh,
for like
I
15
might
bucks.
I might have
Dude,
to
it
upgrade.
has 4Ks of all 3 cuts. So you get the final cut, you get the original theatrical and the Redux, all on 4K. You get Blu-rays of all 3. So a
Oh
disc
good.
of just the final cut and then a double Blu-ray set that has both the other ones. You get a whole different, just special featured Blu-ray disc for Apocalypse, and you get the Heart of Darkness documentary on the
Oh
other disc,
nice.
which is
Yeah.
great, by the way.
I have the Blu-ray. I think it's got both cuts on there.
Uh-huh.
The theatrical and the Redux, and then it's got a disc full of special features, which
Yeah.
I wanted to watch some of before we did this,
Mhm.
but I just didn't have the time. But yeah, no. I know you're pretty high on this movie.
Now
Uh,
I've kind of gotten obsessed with this movie over the last like 2 years or so. Ever since I bought this Final Cut set and like I watched it, and it just like I had seen it before, like years before, but it had been a long time, and I think I was too young to really like appreciate it. But when I popped in that Final Cut and like it knocked my socks off, and then I watched it again like a few months later, and then I watched the Hearts of Darkness thing, and then I watched it again. Like it's just I think this movie's just a masterpiece. I think it's amazing. Just from a character standpoint, from it just being like a great Vietnam like war movie. The atmosphere of this movie is great. You always feel like there's something looming out there, which is, they talk up Colonel Kurtz so much that, when you fight and meet him, Marlon Brando kind of lives up to the hype. He's great. I think Martin Sheen is amazing in this movie, just what he's going through. And I didn't realize for the longest time that the scene in Major Payne was like parodying Apocalypse Now, when he's like pacing around like the apartment and all that, and doing karate in the apartment and just losing his mind. Like they parody basically this in Major Payne. It's fun. But yeah, I mean, every character that pops up is great. There's a lot of recognizable people throughout the whole thing, and man, just even technically, this movie is spectacular. How it lost to Kramer versus Kramer for Best Picture in 1979, I'll never understand. I think they went with the safe movie. Oh, let's just go with the custody battle movie, divorce custody drama. It's like,
yeah,
how could you watch this and not like award that the highest honor, and like just technically speaking, and what he went through trying to make this movie
right.
for like 5 years, by the way, for like
Yeah.
forever trying to make this movie.
What I don't understand is how Michael Sheen,
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen,
Yeah.
not Michael, Martin doesn't even get nominated for Best Actor.
He's great.
Not
He's so
even
good.
nominated.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't really speak on. I'm sure Dustin Hoffman is fantastic. I haven't seen Kramer versus Kramer. I'm sure he's good.
Look, it's a good movie. I'm not knocking Kramer versus Kramer. It's a good movie. Like him and Meryl Streep, like it's a really good sort of divorce, especially as somebody who's been through a divorce, like this divorce, like sort of custody battle, family. If you like stuff like Marriage Story, it's very similar, just kind of less shouting, just more drama. But it's kind of a similar sort of story. It's a good movie, man. I'm not knocking Kramer versus Kramer. It's a good movie, but it ain't Apocalypse Now. It's not.
No.
It's
yeah,
not.
I'm looking it up. It lost out on screenplay. I think the screenplay here is really good. Well, Kramer versus Kramer was cleaning up here. It did win Best Sound, which I think is
it should have won like Best Cinematography. This movie's beautiful.
It did win Best Cinematography. Gorgeous. Yep.
Thank God, because it's a gorgeous movie to look at, especially in 4K. Holy cow! Like the fire and stuff in this movie, the tracer shots when they're on the river, everything they do is gorgeous. It's outstanding.
Lost out on editing to All That Jazz, which I think is another. Was that you've talked
We
about
covered
that.
it. Yeah,
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 you
we
covered
covered it
yeah.
because yeah, and we'll be talking about it again on our actor tournament.
Oh, okay,
Because I
cool.
may or may not have picked Roy Scheider as one of
Oh,
my favorite
nice,
actors, so I may or
nice.
may not. You may or may not see All That Jazz on that tournament.
Nice. Well,
But
I might try to watch it between now and Friday then.
yeah, no, it's I think that's another one I think you'd like because it's sort of a it's about Roy Scheider like running this. And I know we're tangenting here for a second, but sorry,
Yeah.
it's Roy Scheider. I got to talk about. He's one of my guys. But he's like running this sort of ballet company, but he's like kind of a skeevy guy, which again why I like '70s movies because there's no like clear heroes. Everybody's like a shade of gray.
Mm.
They weren't afraid to just have characters that weren't a little shady, didn't always do the right thing. He's like sleeping with the ballerinas, he's doing kind of scummy things, but it's not like a ballet movie. Like it's everything around it, like the before and after him putting the show together. You get like one sequence of it, but it's great. He's so good in that movie. Yeah, he's constantly smoking because of course it's the '70s, so he's always got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. But yeah, no, I mean, but back to this movie. Yeah, so it wins cinematography, it wins sound, nominated for Best Picture, nominated for Robert Duvall for supporting. He's great. He's awesome. He damn near steals the movie for the 20 minutes or whatever he's on screen for those sequences. He's fantastic. Again, nominated for screenplay, nominated for set design, editing. Yeah, so I mean,
art direction.
yeah, so should have won a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's still, I think, history has kind of, people sort of universally recognized. It's like, Apocalypse Now should have won, that year.
I was
1990 Goodfellas probably should have beat Dances with Wolves. It's like one of those things.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was watching the video this morning before I went to church. It was if Letterboxd decided Best Picture, and it just gave it to the movie that was the highest rated. Apocalypse Now for 79, Goodfellas for 90,
probably 94. It's like Shawshank or Pulp Fiction, one of the two. I'm sure.
Shawshank,
like one of those two. Yeah.
I looked at. I kept the time. I'm gonna see how many were actually the highest rated, and
99 might be like The Matrix.
99 is Fight Club.
Oh, really? Okay, that makes sense though. That makes sense.
Yeah, 10 of them would have stayed the same.
Okay.
10 movies would have stayed the same. Yeah. Every other one would have been different. But yeah, no, Apocalypse Now, very, very highly rated.
Had you watched or attempted to watch this before, or had watched it before?
I've watched. Yeah, I watched it before. I haven't watched any of the other cuts yet, though. Okay. So I need to watch the cuts and see.
I would say if you only have access to the theatrical or the Redux, just go with theatrical. I would say, because the Redux is too long. Like it spends way too much time on the French plantation later in the movie. It spends like 40 minutes of that. But that's why I like the final cut, because final cut's like 3 hours almost on the dot. And they take they take a few of the good scenes from the Redux, like in the first half of the movie, and then they only spend like 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the plantation thing before he gets to Kurtz, at the end. So like they cut that down a little bit just to the essential stuff. And then but they add in a few other scenes, like they add in a scene where they're being entertained by like some girls and it goes wrong. Like this whole troupe is being entertained by like Playboy playmates and they overrun the stage and stuff. Like it's kind of a fun sequence. There's a little bit more on the river, which with him and Lawrence Fishburne and the by the way, the other guy who's driving the boat, I forget his name. He's the coach and rookie of the year. The guy who keeps calling him like Ravenboozer or Garden Hoser, like that guy. That's him. 14-year-old Lawrence Fishburne in this movie, which is nuts. He was like 14, 15 when he makes this movie, which is insane. Yeah.
Harrison Ford pops up for
10 minutes. The other guy who's giving him the rundown in that scene, did you recognize him? He's from Godfather 2. He's the senator guy who gets in trouble with the dead hooker in the hotel room. The guy who calls him like Mr. Carleon, like the guy who's like making fun of his name at the party at the beginning, who they screw over later. That's the senator guy from Godfather 2. So there's a bunch of people that pop up in other Francis Ford Coppola movies. Yeah, because remember Harrison Ford was in the conversation. Also, he has like a 10-minute part in that.
That's movie. Right. Yeah. I was just looking up because I was like, he hadn't done much up to that point. Yeah, it was American Graffiti, The Conversation, and Star Wars was the
Yeah,
start to
yeah.
your career, and then Apocalypse Now. Uh, yeah, like you want a good filmography, just look at Harrison Ford.
Well, there's a
That's
reason that Paul Preston and Adam went to the Ford Fiesta and just cover all of his whole filmography.
yeah,
So
it's a
there
good
you go.
filmography to cover.
Yeah, right.
So
But yeah, no, I mean, crazy behind the scenes stuff, that most people know, that like, like that helicopter raid sequence, when they're playing the flight of the Valkyries,
yeah,
raiding the village, all those helicopter sequences, which is incredible, by the way. You see like 12 helicopters, like it's whole, like it's beautifully shot. But that was like an actual helicopter fleet that he got from these like rebels where they were filming in like the Philippines or wherever they were, or like Cambodia, wherever it was. And they would get randomly called away to go do an actual thing.
oh wow,
So like randomly they just leave, and he'd be like, what the heck's going on? What's going on? Like Hearts of Darkness covers all this. And he had no control over it. He just had to wait for them to come back like a day or two later. They would just fly off in the middle of shooting and just leave. There was typhoons, basically hurricanes. They like wiped out the sets, at least twice. I think, all the stuff that went wrong. Marlon Brando shows up on set 100 pounds overweight and bald. He was supposed to have like the long hair like he usually had, like this long blonde hair. He's supposed to be kind of a hippie, Vietnam guy, and not as, and he shows up completely overweight with a bald head that he shaved, and also, would spend 8 hours talking about one line of dialogue with Francis Ford Coppola. Just like arguing about like one line or something like that. Just all this weird stuff, like, 'cause he's a weird dude. Yeah, all these problems. You have to watch that documentary if you got a part of that Blu-ray set. It's insane because
it is.
it's
Awful.
not like a put together documentary where it's like talking heads or anything. It's all this stuff that Coppola's wife shot on like on like her own camera, just off to the side. Like she was filming all the
Okay.
problems.
That's
Like all she did was she was just filming all the freakouts, all these conversations she was having with him, like in their hotel and all that, just with him just losing his mind over all this stuff. He would shoot like Marlon Brando and Coppola like having a conversation like off to the side, like zoom in on them, doing their thing. So it's all this just like footage that she shot during the course of this chaotic filmmaking, to where you could almost do, and I've talked about this, that show The Offer that they did on Peacock about the making of The Godfather and the crazy making of that. I've always said, Dan Fogler already played Coppola, right? Do another version of that for Apocalypse Now, and you could do another little mini series, like 10-episode thing about the making of this movie, because it was just as crazy,
right.
if not more. And you've already got a guy who could play Coppola who did it in the other thing. Just do it for that. And there's so many stories and so much craziness that went into making the movie. Martin Sheen had a heart attack on set, was gone for like 6 months. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had a heart attack on set and like couldn't film any of his stuff. They had to film everything else. Like just insane stories from this movie. Nuts.
Dang. Yeah, and the fact that we still got this masterpiece of a movie despite all the things going
all
on.
of that stuff. Yeah, it took years over budget, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, if this movie failed, like it would have been very understandable, but man, shout out to Francis Ford Coppola for he didn't miss in the 70s, did he?
No, he's got like a perfect filmography in the 70s, because it's basically just Godfather, The Conversation, Godfather 2, Apocalypse Now.
That's a good
four-piece. Yeah, right. So
that's the 4-pack to go. You just do the Francis Ford Coppola 70s
basically. Yeah. He was in that group with George Lucas and Spielberg and Martin Scorsese. Like there's stuff about it's in the Spielberg HBO documentary about those guys would hang out together, like, and shoot pool and hang out and like talk about each other's movies and give each other advice. Brian De Palma was in there too. And like all those guys, if you think about it, in the 70s, that's where they all kind of sprung out and, started to emerge as like these master filmmakers, was in the 70s. And they all kind of had these scrappy movies that took forever to, or always had problems. I mean, look at Spielberg with Jaws and all the problems he had with Jaws trying to shoot that movie. All the stuff with Blowout and Brian De Palma. I mean, all these guys that had trouble, Mean Streets and Taxi Driver with Martin Scorsese trying to get those movies made, was really crazy. But yeah, that's why I love 70s movies, man. Like, I love the grittiness and the guerrilla filmmaking and the chances they took, and the characters that aren't always the most savory, and just they weren't afraid to just take risks, do risky movies.
Yeah.
It's just they're different. I just like them.
Yeah, this movie is fantastic. Yeah, if I ever get a chance to watch the final cut, I will definitely do that. But
I would say this set for I swear to God, I've seen it for like $15 on Amazon. It's worth it.
Yeah, like I said,
it's worth it.
I still have a gift card from my birthday for Amazon, so if it's still there, I might.
Yeah, I don't know if it is like year round. I've seen it multiple times for less than $20, which for 6 discs, that's an insane set. Like that's more than worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at Walmart the other day, and they're selling the Book of Clarence on DVD for $20, and I'm like, I'm not buying a DVD for $20. Why don't you have the Blu-ray? Walmart, whatever. No, like that's a great price. That's like $2.50 a disc.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen it. It's at like 30 now, but I know I've seen it on like Black Friday and stuff for like $15. I mean, okay. I know I have, because I'm like I shout to the heavens every time. I'm like, if you have a 4K capability and you I don't know why you wouldn't own the set, even just for how good it looks. It's just and just how cool it looks. Come on, that's a great looking set. Look at that cover. Great.
Yeah, that's
great poster.
That's a great cover.
Come on, it's good stuff.
Yeah, this movie is fantastic. Yeah, it should have won a lot more than it did. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, I know we don't do rankings, but if I had to rank these movies, honestly I'm Alien and Apocalypse Now could be like a 1A, 1B, and then Jerk and Rocket Roll High School, it's like a 2A, 2B.
Well, they're different. They're different movies. They're different, how do you compare Rock and Roll High School to like Apocalypse Now? A movie, a Rock and Roll High School, a movie that cost like $300,000. That they made, at a school that was about to be demolished. With the Ramones. It's like where I think a quarter of the budget went to pay the Ramones to be in the movie and to use their music, something like that. So that's where a good chunk of the budget went. Because Clint Howard has talked about, he had a Q&A I watched a little bit of online where he's talking about this movie, and he's like, yeah, I mean, we had like no money to make this movie. It was just, scrappy filmmaking. We just did what we could, just scrounge up everybody got paid almost nothing to just do it and just make a movie, all trying to make a name for ourselves.
Yeah, so I know Apocalypse Now is streaming on, I think, Amazon Prime. I don't know if any of the other cuts are. I don't know if it's just the theatrical cut.
I think I had to. Yeah, I mean, I think this came with a digital copy, but I know you can buy the final cut like on Vudu. Maybe on Prime you can buy it. Maybe. Yeah. But I know my digital copy came with this. It's available, that cut on Vudu at least, to rent or buy. Yeah, I don't know. I never know. You can only tell really by the runtime wherever you stream it.
Right.
Because the theatrical cut's like 240, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
The final cut's 3. I think Redux is like 320 or something like that. It's the longest one. But yeah, so I don't know. So I think the theatrical cut's on Prime, by the way. I think. Yeah.
Okay. I knew that one was. I didn't know if they would have the final cut as well. So yeah, no. I'm glad we decided to do each year by itself instead of combining decades, because these first 2 years have been.
I know. We can't. I think we just realized we can't just cram in these years. We just got to spend time on these years and just do a full floor for each one, because there's more than enough movies out there for us to do.
Oh yeah, for sure, including the next year that we will cover, which is 1984. And that's I'm looking forward to this year as well, because again, it's two first time watches for me, and then two kind of I haven't seen them in so long that they might feel like first time watches. So we will be covering 16 Candles, The Never Ending Story, Streets of Fire, and The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yes.
I think our most eclectic group of movies.
Oh yeah, no, that's a
Far, I
fun,
think.
but that's all. It's all lighter fare though from this
Yeah,
week though. I think all these movies are like even Streets of Fire. It's like kind of an action movie, but it's a music movie, so it's fun. It's got a good vibe to it. But yeah, I'm kind of like you, where I've never seen 16 Candles. It's a blind spot for me. I've been meaning to watch it, so this will give me a reason. It's on Netflix, I think, so I'm gonna watch it. Streets of Fire is like the favorite that I'm recommending to you that I hope you like with like the music element to it. So I hope you like it. I think you will.
Mhm.
Great cast. Like I said, it's got Michael Paré, who you might recognize, but it's got Diane Lane, very young Diane Lane, around the time she did like The Outsiders and stuff. Rick Moranis playing a complete asshole, which is great. It's a complete different
that's
role.
what sold me.
The same year as Ghostbusters, where he's playing nerdy, quirky Louis Tully, he plays like Diane Lane's music manager, and he's a complete dick, and he's great.
Hmm.
It's a totally different Rick Moranis performance
And
than
I
anything
just
you've ever
can't
seen.
see him being a dick. So I'm like
I'm telling you,
intrigued.
dude, he kills it. It's great. You'll like it. And then Willem Dafoe, your boy, is the villain. So young
Nice.
Willem Dafoe in ఐ84 with slick, greasy hair doing his thing. But yeah, Muppets Take Manhattan is 40, and we're gonna cover it because it just popped up. Because I bought it on my Vudu, so now Jacob can watch it on the Movies Anywhere thing. So that's because it wasn't really streaming anywhere, but I bought it. And yeah, that and Never Ending Story are the two that I know I've seen before at some point, but I have not seen them in 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So I just remember nothing about either one. So I'm looking forward to watching both, see how they hold up for sure.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to our next episode. We can talk off screen and see when we want to do that. See if we want to get back on schedule or just whatever. But
we'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, but between now and then, I know you've got pizza to pick up pretty soon.
Hey, all right, because we're gonna watch some wrestling.
Yeah,
yeah.
But between now and I can't say between now and the next time we meet because I don't know when that is yet. But just what do you got going on this week?
We say roughly 2 weeks. Roughly 2 weeks.
Roughly 2 weeks.
Keep an eye out. We'll hit that notification bell. When we go live. But no, I mean, obviously, mostly stuff here on the Movie Hero Network. I think I've got some stuff going on. Live Confidential Action, Henry's channel, doing some trivia over there. It's at a debate. I think he wants to start up again. But I think this Tuesday, I won't be on the 2 hot take episodes that Jordan's doing this week. Those 2 tournaments. But me and you will be doing our versus actor thing on Friday. So yeah, we each picked 4 actors and 8 movies from each of those actors to add it all up. So that should be interesting. I set my list of Malcolm because he's going to make an unbiased bracket, so there's no bias involved. Complete third-party bracket. So we got that going on. But I believe Tuesday, the night we would normally do tournament fights, Richie and I have decided we're going to do our Wheel of Movies episode. So we'll do our Wheel of Movies, and it spun About Time, the Domhnall Gleeson, Bill Nighy movie.
I love that. That's a good movie.
Yeah, I think it was on Malcolm's list. I think so. It seems like a Malcolm movie. I think.
Yeah.
So we'll try to get him. If not, if you want to jump on, you're welcome to. Whatever, we'll reach out and see. But yeah, we're gonna rewatch. I haven't seen it since the theater, so I'm looking forward to rewatching it. So it's been a minute. I remember liking it. It's been a minute. So
I don't think it's in my 128, but I think it's in my next 64.
Next after, yeah.
Whenever I do that.
Okay. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do this week. So a couple things going on the channel, and obviously we always have Lonely Marks, of course, and we got to cover 2 pay-per-views this week.
It'll be a full show because there's a little bit to talk about from yesterday. I won't spoil anything because I know you haven't watched it yet.
No, I have not. I know the results, but I haven't seen the actual program yet. I have not watched the full thing yet, but I will.
There's at least 1 or 2 things to talk about, and then Double or Nothing tonight. Pre-show's going on right now as of the time of this recording. If you're watching this on the replay, it's probably already done by now. But if you are watching on the replay, thank you. If you watched live, also thank you. Feel free to chime in the comment section with your thoughts on these 4 movies, and then what is your favorite movie from 1979? If it's not one of the 4 that we mentioned, I know Alien and Apocalypse Now are pretty popular choices for this year, but it was also a good year, so there might be some others out there that people have as their favorite. So let us know. Check out Austin and all the things that he's doing. I pop up here mostly. this is pretty much it. But if you're in the Lewis County area of Washington, you can come
and all those various open mic nights that
yes.
Jacob is hosting now and doing his thing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got
Becoming a big
two
star
this
in
week.
comedy. There you go. Hey, you're
right.
Hey, that's that's not a bad thing. It means you're getting around. People are enjoying it. Yeah, it's a good thing.
So it feels like I've been doing it a lot longer than 3 months, but it's only been 3 months, which is crazy. So yeah, no, I'm having a good time with it. I'm hoping at some point when I feel comfortable enough, I want to have somebody record it, and then maybe we can upload it on the channel or something.
Well, you want to put the final polishing touches on it, right? Before you have somebody record it, make sure you got everything like squared, like the pros do. Just have it locked and ready to go.
Because open mics are really just a way, like, and because we've had some people come down, who have like headlined other shows, but they've come down and did like 5-minute sets because that's what we do, and it's really just a way to like see what works and see what is there stuff that I need to cut out because like I'm just prolonging this or whatever. So yeah, once I can figure that out and see what I have to cut, and then hopefully at some point I can do like a good 5-minute set that's really polished, and hopefully upload it somewhere for people outside the state of Washington to see.
Right.
So it's been a lot of fun, but we will still be doing a podcast about movies. We will still be doing the Lonely Marks. So yeah, come back. We'll come back for Wheel of Movies on Tuesday, but also Lonely Marks Thursday. Our tournament on Friday. I'm looking forward to that one. I decided to go with kind of 3 all-time actors, and then kind of like one of my favorites working currently. Yeah. So that's kind of how I did it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the other 3 that you chose besides Roy Scheider. I think I can guess one of them.
Sure.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see what movies you chose. Also, it should be a fun time. So yeah, check us out. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit that bell so you're notified whenever we go live with a video. And yeah, once again, if you watched live, thank you. If you're watching on the replay, also thank you. So yeah, for Austin, I am Jacob. This is a podcast about movies, and we will see you next time.